Hey friends, welcome back to the Stay at Home Artist channel. Today I'm going to show you how I like to use watercolor with my embroidery. I always use these Winsor & Newton watercolor paints. They're really high quality. They can be more expensive than most watercolors, but I promise it's definitely worth it, especially if you're going to try out more mixed media pieces in the future. So grabbing my plastic paint palette, I'm going to squeeze about the tip of a Q-tip amount in each well of each color I want to use. And now I'm going to leave this for 24 to 48 hours and let the paint dry completely. Once it's dry, I'm going to grab my pattern that I printed on fabric, and you can check out the tutorial on that above. I'm going to load it into my hoop and start painting. Here's what the paint looks like when it's completely dry, and I've got my jar with water, and I'm going to slowly add droplets of water into each well of my palette, and I'm going to drag that color over to a blank well so I can mix a sort of paste together. I'd say the most important part of this process is getting the ratio correct of water to paint. If you have too much water, it's going to bleed, so I always suggest testing it out on a scrap piece of fabric first. And it doesn't look like it's bleeding after it's starting to dry, so I think I'm good to go. Also, Luna says hi. So I'll show you what happens if you add too much water, because that's what I did here. My problem was that I just kept adding water to the consistency that was already too wet, and it just started bleeding everywhere. And as you can tell, the paint is barely there. It looks like it's mostly just wet fabric. This is what the paint should look like on your fabric when it's dry, and this is what mine looked like when I added too much water. But that's alright. The good thing about these paints is that they go a long way, so we'll just start over. This ratio of water to paint is so much better. You definitely want to make sure not to add too much paint, because if it's too opaque, it's going to be really hard to see your pattern on the fabric when you're stitching. And it looks like we're good to go. I always wait about 24 hours for all of my paint to dry and make sure my fabric is completely dry before I start stitching. There you go. I hope that was helpful. Please subscribe and have a great day.